Hey everyone, the name is Kris Barocsi. Welcome to comment time number 6. First of all, let me welcome everyone who is new to the channel. I put out this video about Telecasters. It made a lot of noise. I have tons of new followers, subscribers, and I'm absolutely touched. I feel really honored to have your attention, and I just want to say hello and enjoy the channel and all of that good stuff. My awesome buddy and co-host on the Thomas Guitars and Basses channel, Guillaume, and I had a nice jam, so I will put in snippets of that in this video, so enjoy that. And also please do not forget about the description box, which is full of links to the videos I'm taking comments from. Also, in case you enjoy these videos, hit subscribe and ring the bell. That helps me a lot and I would really appreciate it. Let's go. Before I get into this comment, I just wanted to say how awesome it was to read all those stories of you guys maybe not liking teles at all at the beginning and then sort of growing into it. That was exactly my experience too. I started playing modern guitars, obviously, as most teenagers do, and I wanted to have like all the pickups and all the tremolos and locking nuts and 24 frets all the time on all my guitars. I couldn't understand how one could live with 21. I guess that's just the way of how you approach gear, and it's all good. I really do not want to say with that video or right now that teles and simple gear is the only right way and the only right kind of gear. It just took a long time for me to realize how much I can do with them and how much I enjoy their sound, and especially how good they cut through a band mix. Whenever I take my Strat and sort of force myself not to play my Tele live, I sort of struggle. It works, but I have to set my amp louder. I have to push the mids too much for my taste to sort of work in a band mix. I think that's really important to know if you're into single coil sounds and you do not want to have that issue live. Just don't forget about teles. Villa asked under my Telecaster video, I see on your wall a Telecaster with a Bigsby tremolo. What do you think of the Bigsby on a Telecaster? I love the idea. I love Bigsbys. I love the way it wobbles. I love using it. The only issue is, obviously, well known already, is the tuning stability. You have to be aware of a number of things. Most importantly, you have to take care of the saddles. I built a guitar and I was thinking about having different types of bridges, but I also wanted to have that plate, the Tele plate, the Tele bridge with the brass saddles and everything on it. The back plate of that ashtray bridge touched the string. So I had to carve out 6 little tunnels basically for the string to pass over without touching the edge of the ashtray bridge. And then I also had to file in the barrels for the strings, so there are actually little tunnels with the nut file, fitting nut file gauge per string of course, in order to make the strings move in one direction but don't slide off the barrel. So it was tricky, but this way there's no sharp edge on the bridge, on the saddles, nowhere. It works. It's ridiculously stable. I can actually use the Bigsby and it sounds fantastic. It's perfect. Silogic wrote this under my Mesa Boogie Mark series video. Holy That's some serious guitar tones. Best ones I've heard in a while. Congratulations. Awesome, dude. Thank you. Maybe a dumb question. Vintage Mark Series Boogies are known to be awesome, but what about the current Mark V? Do you think it stands the comparison? I never had the chance to compare my Mark III to Mark V, so I cannot really tell if there's a big difference, if even. I played a couple of Mark Vs, and the 25, the 35 watt, the big one as well, and I love those amps, and they do feel very, very similar. So I guess it's possible to set them up to sound the same way. It's time for some name dropping. A few years ago, we had the chance to shoot a video, an interview with John Petrucci. Big name drop. And he was just the loveliest dude ever. He brought his JP2C, which is his signature Mesa amp. And that amp is pretty much a modernized Mark II C+. I had the chance to compare his amp with my Mark III after the shoot. The only big difference between the JP2C and my Mark III was that my Mark III had a little more spongier, vintagey kind of sound, and the JP2C was very tight and more modern. Zarelli. Right. I got a Tele too, American Special. But that's one expensive Tele you got there. Yes, it is expensive, I admit. It's one of the best Teles I ever played, I admit it. On the other hand, you don't necessarily need a super expensive custom shop Tele to have pretty much all the benefits of a Telecaster. You don't have to be as picky as I am. I love all of the rest, even Mexican-made ones, the Baja, even the Player series. These are great guitars. SR13 wrote under my Relicing My Shopping Over Sunburst SQUIER bass video. I'm confused. Did you say in the previous vid you used a nitro clear coat that is supposed to check and crack after applying it? Never heard of that. Or was it just a happy accident? It was a bit of both, to be honest. There's a small company here in Germany, pretty near, funny enough. They have a web shop and they sell nitro, even in cans as well, if you don't have like a proper spray gun. And they sell this. It's just called weather checking clear coat. It is what you expect after hearing the name. It doesn't have a lot of thinner in it. As soon as it starts to dry on the surface where you applied it, it sort of pulls itself together. Of course, that's the drying process. And because it's not elastic, there's no or barely any thinner in it, it starts to crack. So that is to be expected. In my case, on this bass, it was most probably my mistake. I mean, 100% sure, my mistake. I didn't wait long enough with all the layers under this weather checking finish. They didn't really dry out properly. And then when I applied the weather checking finish, that last coat pulled the colors, like the pink and the white underneath, with it. So that's why it became so weird and these massive stripes appeared, like crackles appeared on the body. I used this finish on 1, 2, 3 of my guitars in the past, and I have absolutely awesome results with it. So it does work. You just have to stay patient and wait for at least a month before you apply this weather checking coat. König Zucker wrote under my Sennheiser wireless demonstration video, which was about the new XSWD systems, these guitar wireless systems. Hey Kris, great video as always. Thank you, thank you. Could you try it with bass, as I heard some wireless systems have issues on low frequencies and only Line 6 G90 would do the job. I know what you mean. There are quite a few wireless units that struggle with all those frequencies a bass has. Out of all the budget wireless systems, the Line 6 ones sound pretty damn good, for sure. To be honest, I also tried the Sennheiser, the new Sennheiser, with my bass, and it did have the same effect on the sound as with the guitar, which was sound-wise identical as cable. It just had like a tiny volume drop, which is the same with my guitar, what I felt. Just a hint less overdrive if you're playing a slightly overdriven sound. With a bass, I'm not even sure one would recognize this because you don't usually use effects on bass, or not a lot at least. So sound-wise, it was pretty much exactly the same as with my high-quality cable. And that is the end of this part. I have quite a few really interesting comments left. I just didn't want to make this video really long, otherwise you would fall asleep or click away, I know you. So I have a second part coming up in a few days. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, this way you will not miss the second part of this video and just all the other videos I'll be uploading. Stay safe, stay at home, and let's hope that these crazy times will end pretty soon. Cheers.